Okay, here we are going now to prepare a trial balance, taking the information from the journal and beginning. Okay, so what you're doing after we put everything into the ledgers as well, we're now going ahead and starting our trial balance. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go ahead and show where, again, as we always do, going ahead and looking for any transposition or slide errors, posting errors, make sure that all the information that we've journalized is correct and take corrective actions. So again, as we see that we're going to go ahead and have our trial balances as we did from last week, the debits on the first side, on the left side, the credits on the right side, and the list of the accounts based on the chart of accounts and the same ones that we've got on the ledger. Okay. And then the other thing also is to remember that we're taking just the balances of each one from the ledgers and we're making sure that they balance. Okay. So what if the trial balance doesn't balance? If the difference that you're off is $10, $100, or $1,000, it's probably a mathematical equation. Be careful about your zeros, okay? If the difference is equal to an individual account balance in the ledger, then it's something that you did not post or did not add. If you can divide the difference between the two balances by 2, then check to see whether a debit should have been a credit or a credit should have been a debit, making sure that you've got the correct information on the amounts on the right side of the trial balances. And then what do I do if it doesn't balance still? Then if the difference is evenly divisible by 9, a transpositional error could have happened, meaning where you put a 7, where you put a, let's say that you put it, when you're entering the information, instead of a 7, you saw a 9, or if you saw a 6, you put in a 3, whatever the case may be, okay? Again, check your zeros. Compare the balances with the ledger as well. Make sure that your ledger and your journal match. And then if you need to, go through each one again and trace everything back to the ledger the way you're supposed to. Making a correction before posting is this. Let's say that instead of putting in accounts receivable, you put accounts receivable instead of accounts payable. Then you would scratch this out, put accounts payable, and then your initials. Okay? If this is the wrong amount, you have to go ahead and take it out, put the correct amount in, and again, put your initials in. Making a correction after you've posted, the same thing. Make sure that it is correct. Now, for all practical purposes, because we're using a spreadsheet, we're going to go ahead and correct it. You don't have to put your initials. But if you were writing it in, this is what you would normally do. But since we're not writing it in, you're actually taking your time to correct it in the spreadsheets. That's exactly what you need to do. If it's in the wrong account, of course, you're going to delete it. And you're going to show that you're correcting it because it was of what happened, that you put it in the advertising expense instead of putting in the telephone expense. Should it matter? Yes. Even though it's still an expense, even though you're taking money out of cash, the reason that it matters is because remember, at the end of the year, at the end of the month, you have to know how much expenses you're actually how much they're occurring and in which areas to determine if you need to cut down anything and where. If you need to correct something, again, you put in correcting entry. Okay? This will be a little bit easier understood when you refer back to it if you've actually done one. This is the chapter where we're going to record things to the general journal, debit or credit. It'll be against the column and the credits as far as what needs to get done. The explanation will be intended. You'll remember the accounts, have to still do your analysis. And then, of course, you're posting. Okay? So this is the summary of the chapter. I'm going to show you a little bit more information. Okay? Again, general journal here, posting all the posts that you're doing based on the transactions. Accounts payable, you're crediting it because you're adding the amount of money, okay, that you have. So here, you'd add it on May 1st, and then you'd bring it over as a balance. Then you're showing on May 3rd that you had another accounts payable, and you put your explanation here to who or to what, and you're putting in the information here. It's going to increase your accounts payable, so you put in your what is called a running balance right here. So you increase it. Here, obviously, again, buying something or purchasing something on account. So again, you add it in, and here's your running balance. Now, here, it shows that you're debiting, so you're paying part of this amount. So normally you would decrease cash, but what you're doing here, though, is you would credit cash and you would debit accounts payable because you're decreasing the amount of money that you owe, decreasing the $2,500 from the $5,850. This would be your balance, and of course you would show on your cash this right here, but it would be on your credit side for your normal balance of cash. Okay? When you're posting to the general journal, again, this is what's going to end up looking like. All your posts for the entire month. Okay? That's what it's going to look like. This is a little close-up of what it's going to look like. And notice you have your explanation and a line, a blank line, so that you can tell what you're doing and what you're not only doing, but so it doesn't look so cluttered. Then, when you're posting from the journal to your accounts, each has an area: computer supplies, prepaid rent, computer equipment, accounts payable. All the amounts are going from this general journal to now the general ledger, individual areas that you're putting this information in. Okay? Same thing again, a little bit more of a close-up. Making sure that you're using your posting. Is it in your page 1 or page 2? So you'll be able to find the information from your general journal as well. And of course, making sure that you put in your explanation, which the author did not. And how to correct an entry should you need to correct an entry. Okay, so this is all that we're doing here. And of course, I will have your demonstration video as well to help you understand what we're doing. And I'll be taking you from posting 1 from the general journal explanation, and then posting it also to its general ledger. Okay? If you have any questions you're not understanding, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll see you on the flip side.